Quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing are important components of academic writing. In this presentation, we will briefly discuss the what, why, and how of quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing in academic writing. As we know that academic writing has a good deal of analysis of ideas, especially ideas from other authors, and then there is synthesis of those ideas, and generally there is an argument, or there are arguments around which academic writing revolves. These arguments need to be supported by sometimes direct quotes from sources, but in most cases the analysis process needs paraphrasing of the ideas or the findings of the other authors and academics. And similarly, an important aspect of academic writing is summarizing as well. So we can see that generally it's a combination of these three main components, that is summarizing, paraphrasing, quoting, and there is a good deal of analysis and synthesis involved in the process of academic writing. Now, what is actually quoting? Use of direct words, texts of the authors we cite in our writing or reviews. So a quote basically is a direct text from the authors in their own words. So quotes generally, the representation of quotes in our academic writing, if the quote is up to 40 words, that is enclosed in quotation marks, and the quotes that are above 40 words are indented. In any case, the citation should include page number from the reference source, beside authors' surnames and publication year date in the APA format. So again, generally direct quotes are used occasionally. So although quotes is an important way of citation and of supporting our argument, but the use of direct quotes should be minimal, and quotes should be used only when deemed essential as evidence in support of our argument. Here are examples, two examples. One, a quote that is around 25 words, which means it's up to 40 words in the green font, and the other quote, which is more than 40 words, in the blue font. So you can see that the one that is in the green font begins with the different types of reflection. It could be argued refer to the process of reflection, while the levels could be associated with the content of reflection. So here, this quote of around 25 words, Khan 2012, and I have also given the page number in the citation, which is required. The inclusion of the quote is actually required in the quotation marks or in the inverted commas that you can see. And the second one, which is more than 40 words, you can see that it has been indented towards the right. But again, you do not need quotation marks here when you indent, but you need the citation with page number. So that's how we make use of quotes in our academic writing. Now, paraphrasing, basically, I have given a separate lecture on the use of paraphrasing in academic writing, and you can have a look at that on this channel. Paraphrasing is basically the rewriting or representing of the ideas of academics or writers or researchers in a text or passage. So generally this rewriting is done in order to convey or to cite the essential or complete meaning or message of the original text. Paraphrases are generally a bit shorter than the original text. And generally, when we are doing paraphrasing, the paraphrase is actually the aim of paraphrasing is locating and presenting main ideas from the target text, demonstrating the writer's knowledge of relevant literature, supporting arguments, providing evidence, and avoiding too many or too long direct quotes. So, as you can see, paraphrasing is actually to replace quotes and to reduce space and to get to the original meaning of the original source without the use of the direct words of the authors. So there are certain steps that are involved in the process of paraphrasing, and these steps include that you need to read the text several times. You need to read the text with the concentration, and you need to analyze ideas and to take note of ideas. Then you also need to check the paraphrase text with the original text in order to make sure that nothing important is left that has not been paraphrased. And the most important thing is that you need to cite the original text. Then here is an example of how to paraphrase. So here is an example of a sentence basically. So you can see the original in the blue text, and you can see the paraphrased one in the green text. Here is an example of a longer text. So you can see the one that is in blue text is basically the original text, and which is the one on the right side in the green font is the paraphrased. So this is an example of how to paraphrase larger texts such as paragraphs or maybe even more than paragraph. So that's example of paraphrasing. Now, summarizing, the last part of the presentation today. Summarizing is actually the process of condensing or briefly stating the main ideas of longer pieces of writing. So summaries, in contrast to paraphrasing, are much shorter than the original text, and the original text needs to be cited, as is in the case with the quotes and with paraphrasing. Generally, a paragraph of a few sentences may be summarized into a sentence or two. So this is, I'm just actually referring to the general process. So there is no rule for like the length of the summary, but generally the longer the original text, the longer will be the summary. And also depends on the number of ideas and the complexity of thoughts inside the original text. So then an article of several paragraphs may be summarized into, for example, a paragraph and or two. A longer article, a book, or a thesis may be summarized into several paragraphs, or sometimes even into several some pages. Useful summaries. So how can we make good summaries or useful summaries? For useful summaries, we need to follow these some principles, which include that the summary should be much shorter than the original text. It should be factual and descriptive rather than analytical. So generally, in terms of summaries, we should present the ideas of that are contained in the original mostly in a descriptive way rather than become judgmental. Then useful summaries also contain most important or essential ideas from the original. So we are not adding our own ideas to generally to summaries, and they are written in summary writer's own words. So generally, it is the summary writer, the one who makes summaries of the original text, use their own words in order to write summaries, and they accurately represent the original text, and they are also correct in terms of language, which means vocabulary, grammar, punctuation. In some cases, for novice academic writers, one of the problems with them is that the way they write the summary does not represent the original, mainly because of the problems in the language that you use, or because of problems in grammar or in punctuation. So it is very important that the summary should be written in correct language. Here is an example of a summary. So as you can see, that the summary is around 113 words. And basically, I have summarized this from an original text which was around 1200 words. So this is, you can see that this is a summary of a longer text, around 1200 words. And a section, this was basically a section of a literature review exploring the meaning and nature of reflection. So the original text was around 1200 words, which actually means it was several pages, and the summary that you can see in the black font above is around 113 words. So you can read this as an example of a summary in academic writing. So I hope that now you know the process of quoting, or what actually quoting means, and what are different types of quotes or different ways in which quotes are included in academic writing. And you know the process of paraphrasing and summarizing, and you see the difference between these three processes. But remember that these three processes are complementary, and they are generally essential parts of the process of academic writing in general.